Gas stations and rest stops are supposed to be a pit stop. Pee, snack, leave. Horror movies turn that into a death sentence. I'm Ariel, and I'm counting down my 4 favorite picks for gas station horror movies. There aren't many, so I also included rest stops or convenience store style settings. These 4 movies are all very different. We have a tense political thriller, a fast-paced survival thriller, an absurd horror comedy, and a really great body horror creature feature. Now, let me stop rambling and let's start this off with my number 4 pick. Shudder produced American-French thriller Night of the Hunted. This movie starts out with Alice and her colleague/affair partner, John, leaving a motel to start a long drive to bring Alice to meet her husband. They eventually stop at a gas station for coffee, but Alice quickly notices the store is unmanned and there's blood splatter everywhere. She decides to book it out of there and is suddenly shot in the arm. After another shot rings out, she takes cover behind some shelving. She calls out for her companion, John, but it falls on deaf ears. Alice then tries to retrieve her cell phone, but the attacker shoots it out of reach. It's around this time she realizes the shots are coming from the direction of a billboard that reads, "God is nowhere." Alice is suddenly distracted by a man's voice, which is coming from a walkie-talkie sitting on the counter. Alice manages to get the walkie from the counter. She informs the man on the other end that someone is shooting at her and she's stuck inside of the store. At that same time, John is finally realizing something is wrong and heads inside. John walks into the store during this conversation and is shot almost immediately. Alice then gets back to her walkie conversation where the man on the other end tells her he is on the line with the cops because his wife works there and he hasn't heard from her all night. After a little bit of friendly small talk, Alice realizes the man may not be too friendly after all.
I think he's dead.
Yeah, because I blew his head off.
The man on the walkie continues to talk to Alice as she tries to find something to help her situation. Instead, she finds Amelia's dead body behind the counter. He explains to her that Amelia is his wife and he killed her because she is having an affair. Okay, movies that take place in a single location tend to need to stretch out the drama, and that's what's happening at this point. She's looking around the store while attempting to stay hidden, bandaging up her wounds, and the sniper is just randomly shooting at the car and being a cryptic asshole over the walkie. Soon, a man walks in, saying he is Amelia's husband. Alice manages to get him on board with this crazy sniper story after a very short conversation, but naturally, she's suspicious because the killer also said Amelia was his wife. She then realizes not a single shot has been fired since this man entered the store. He decides to prove himself to Alice by going back to his car and getting his phone because since there hasn't been a single shot, obviously this shooter doesn't want him dead.
Wrong.
As soon as he gets back to the car, he's shot by the gunman, and Alice is back to square one, all alone with nothing but a large glass window between her and a sniper. Alice grabs the walkie and finally asks the million-dollar question.
Why are you doing this?
To which the killer replies with a crazy political rant about vaccines, big pharma, election fraud, and cancel culture.
Psycho talk.
During this bizarre political podcast, Alice manages to create a cover for herself out of umbrellas. This, along with the distraction of police sirens going by, help her make it to her car, but she quickly realizes she's not faster than a bullet and runs back inside, being shot in the leg in the process. The sniper continues ranting over the walkie as Alice bandages up her leg, and then she begins working on getting the back door open. She spends a couple of minutes trying to empathize with the sniper because any man that parks himself on a billboard with a sniper rifle to take out strangers at a gas station has to still be a rational human being, right?
Are the psycho.
In the middle of their heart-to-heart, an elderly couple shows up for gas, but when they realize that something is amiss, the sniper kills both of them. Soon Alice realizes there is a little girl in the couple's car and tries to warn her to stay down. The killer starts up another rant, this time about how upset he is that he will be labeled a crazy shooter at the end of this. At this time, the little girl exits the car and makes the killer aware of her presence. Alice manages to quickly get the little girl inside of the gas station and get the back door open. And at this point, the sniper decides to come down from the billboard to finish this. The last 20 or so minutes is Alice in an intense battle with the killer to save this little girl. And at the end, she does kill him, but she is mortally wounded in the process, and the little girl runs off into the sunrise. This movie wasn't exactly well received. I've honestly read more bad reviews than good, with the political ranting being the main point of contention. I get it. Politics being shoved in our faces everywhere is getting old. And I also know horror movies have always been political, but at least they used to be more creative. My number 4 pick really came down to this one in Open 24 Hours. And honestly, this one was just the better movie out of the two. Overall, I do think this is an okay movie. The setting is great. It's isolating and exposed at the same time. There's nothing around for miles, but the killer has a perfect view of Alice from a brightly lit store window. The atmosphere is tense and you're mostly always engaged, although the rants are where I started to trail off at times. But the acting is pretty well done and the film is well shot. I love all the billboard shots. Do I wish there was maybe a little more or even less to the story than a crazy conspiracy nut job? Yeah, could have just made it a random sniper killing people for no reason, and honestly, that probably would have ended better. Overall, I give this one a 2 out of 5. Now let's get to my number 3 pick, which happens to be another movie from 2023. Blumhouse produced straight-to-streaming thriller Unseen. This movie begins by introducing 2 characters. Sam, who is making a phone call in a car but receives no answer, and Emily, who is tied up and unable to see. We then get a little more intro through a series of cutscenes as we learn that Sam is a miserable employee of the Gator Galore gas station who has to deal with an abusive boss, insufferable patrons, and a broken slushy machine.
Better not be greeting my customers with that sad shit.
The blind woman is Emily, and she has been kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend, who is holding her hostage in a cabin in Michigan to force her to reconsider breaking up. After the introduction, the story starts kicking off when Emily fights back against her ex, breaking her glasses in the process and managing to escape the cabin in the woods. Despite being unable to see clearly, she manages to call 911, but they tell her they need time to track her location. Emily accidentally ends the call and attempts to call back, but she accidentally chooses a different number from her recent call list instead. And of course, this is Sam's number, who was the missed call from earlier in the movie. Emily explains her predicament to Sam, who's not really on board with helping, as she's at work and already has enough on her plate. After a lot of pleading, Emily gets Sam to agree to help by video calling her and being her eyes to help her navigate the wooded terrain and alert her of her ex's presence. Sam eventually helps Emily get out of her zip ties with a tutorial video, and we then get a stretch of the characters chatting and getting to know each other as Sam helps Emily walk through the forest. This movie starts out more character-focused and then picks up about halfway through. Emily's ex catches up with her, and around that same time, Sam breaks her charger off inside of her phone.
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
Emily gets the better of her ex, slips into his car, and runs him over. But, of course, since she can't see, she immediately crashes the car. After she runs away, Sam realizes her phone is going to die, just as things at the gas station begin to pick up when a stuck-up customer from earlier returns because she left her credit card there. With Emily needing more help than ever, Sam becomes desperate and steals the customer's phone and locks herself inside of the gas station's enclosed checkout area. It's now dark. Emily is about to give up, and there is now a gun-toting Karen and her husband at the gas station. And after Sam's boss and the cops also show up, Sam and Emily quickly come up with a plan to end her ex's terror for good. Once Emily finally puts down her ex, Sam, relieved, hangs up the phone and turns herself into the police. This one reminded me of a Lifetime movie, just with better acting and more fun than drama. The story is engaging, intense, but lighthearted when it needs to be. The supporting characters are over the top. Missy Pyle is one of the best parts of this movie. And of course, she's no stranger to playing an arrogant, stuck up rich lady. Some parts were a little slow, but at no point did the movie lose my interest. This one utilizes the cutscenes and split screens in a way to make even the slower parts feel fast paced. I enjoyed the character building, not that this is some deep character study, but it's a good job making you feel like you both know and like these people by the end. There's also a little cutscene at the end that shows that some time has passed, and Emily and Sam remain in contact as friends. And it's also revealed that the number Sam misdialed in the beginning was for the suicide hotline, ending with the audience realizing this traumatic experience actually saved Sam's life too. So I recommend for all the people that actually like to feel good when the movie is over. Overall, I give this one a 2.5 out of 5. And if you like Blumhouse movies, don't let this one go unseen. My number 2 pick is the Canadian horror comedy Yoga Hosers. This is a very over the top and silly movie that features a pretty stacked cast and cameos, including Lily Rose Depp and her father, Johnny Depp, Harley Quinn Smith and her father, Kevin Smith, who is also the director, Jason Mewes, Justin Long, Austin Butler, Haley Joel Osment, Natasha Lyonne, Saturday Night Live alum Sashir Zamata, Arrested Development's Tony Hale, DC animation voice actor Kevin Conroy, and even the late Stan Lee. That was a long list. This movie starts by introducing our teenage heroines, played by Lily Rose Depp and Harley Quinn Smith, two yoga-loving high school girls, both named Colleen. They're in a band with a 35-year-old man and work at a small, dingy, family-owned convenience store, very Canadianly named A to Z. There's a fun little callback to Kevin Smith's previous movie Tusk, which is about a man played by Justin Long, who was kidnapped and turned into a walrus. And if you think that sounds batshit crazy, wait until you get through the plot of this one. Now the plot starts to kick off as we are introduced to Colleen M's crush, Hunter, played by Austin Butler. He invites the Colleens to a big senior party.
A senior party? A senior
And they accept. From here, we go through the woes of being a teenage girl. Colleen M's mom doesn't think the boys have the best intentions, but ultimately allows her to go as long as she brings her date knife.
They get cute, they get cut.
We get a quick intro to Justin Long's character, and no, he's not a walrus this time. He's a weird yoga instructor side character. Anyway, we're also introduced to Colleen C's dad and the A to Z store manager / his girlfriend. The next few scenes, we see some more teenage woes as we see the Colleens navigate a day at school with mean teachers, uninterested students, and lessons about Nazis in Canada. We are then introduced to Guy Lapointe, famous manhunter who is also from Tusk, played by an almost unrecognizable Johnny Depp. He questions the girls about a recent customer of the store and lets them know he has been murdered. But Colleen C's dad texts them that they are going away for the weekend, so of course, now missing the senior party takes precedence over a man being cut up into 100 pieces. To be fair, this would be any girl's reaction to missing a date with Austin Butler. Now forced to work at the store, the Colleens are miserable. But after getting a call from Hunter, Colleen C has the bright idea to invite the party to the store, and the boys are all in. They also may have some sinister intentions. The boys show up alone and tell them the rest of the party didn't want to go to the store, and the boys quickly separate the girls. Hunter then begins to let Colleen in on his plans to sacrifice them to Satan, but at first she ignores the red flags.
Me and Gordon are way into Satan.
Eventually, he attacks her, but good thing her mom looked out for her because she's quickly able to de-escalate the situation with her date knife. Just as suddenly as this all began, the boys are attacked
by little sausage men dressed like Hitler. We're going to call them Bratzies. The Colleens kill the first few Bratzies and call the cops, but they're not really buying their story of Nazi sausages. Now, trapped in a store with what could be hundreds of Bratzies, the Colleens decide not to lay down and die, and an epic fight scene ensues with hockey sticks and yoga-inspired choreography. After fighting their way to the entrance, they are immediately detained by cops and arrested for the murder of the two boys. In the interrogation room, we see the return of Guy Lapointe, who tells them that he believes their story and he has proof of the Bratzies. He breaks them out of jail and heads back to the store, but they are immediately overcome and tied up in the basement. Now, we are finally introduced to our villain, the mad scientist from earlier's history lesson. He explains to them that he was sent to Canada during World War II to take over North America, and he created an army of sausage men to help him with that task. But since they needed 100 years to fully mature, he decided to cryogenically freeze himself. The Colleens accidentally shorted the store's electricity, causing not only the doctor to wake up prematurely, but also stunting the growth of his sausage men. After he woke up, he learned the Nazi party had been defeated and now has made it his life mission to make all art critics that ever said his sculptures were bad pay, because all he ever really wanted to be was an artist.
I didn't want to be a Nazi for the rest of my life.
He reveals that he has created his ultimate masterpiece, a 10-foot tall sculpture constructed out of dead bodies that can be controlled from the inside by the Bratzies. But once the plan has been activated, the Bratzies very quickly grow tired of their demanding maker and turn on him. The Colleens then do some more yoga moves and once again save the day. Honestly, the cast and cameos are probably the best part of this movie. I loved the insane characters, and it seems like everyone had fun and no one took this too seriously. The over-the-top plot doesn't take itself too seriously either. I mean, it is a movie about Nazi bratwurst. It's funny, and there's quite a few quotable lines in this one. The creature design was pretty awesome too. The Bratzies are a lot of fun, and they are played by the director Kevin Smith. But that final monster at the end definitely was the highlight. It is a spin-off of Tusk, but personally, I think this one is loads better. If you did like Tusk, I don't see why you wouldn't be into this one. If you didn't like Tusk, I still say give this one a chance. Good or bad, Kevin Smith is great at original concepts. If you like completely ridiculous movies or if you love Canada, this one is for you. Overall, I give this movie a 3 out of 5. Before I get to my number one gas station horror movie, if you're having fun with these gas station selections, please like this video. My number one pick is the magnet-produced body horror / creature feature, Splinter. Splinter is not only the best gas station horror movie, it's also a movie that is just really good in general. And after recently rewatching, I think it aged really, really well. Splinter is a 2008 horror movie that starts out bloody with a bikini-loving gas station attendant being attacked and killed by a spiky, unknown wild animal. Cut to the main characters. Protagonists Seth and Polly, who are on a romantic camping trip, and the first antagonists, Dennis and Lacey, who are stranded on the road. After breaking their tent, Seth and Polly head off the campgrounds to find a store. They stop for Lacey, who they believe is a stranded woman, and they are ambushed by Dennis, armed with a gun, and forced to give them a ride. Dennis and Lacey rob them of their money, cell phones, and other belongings while prying into the kidnapped couple's personal life. They find out that Seth is in school for a PhD in biology, which will definitely not come in handy later or anything. Adding to this already awkward double date from hell, they hit something on the road and pop a tire. Thinking it may be her lost dog, Lacey forces Seth to go check out what they just ran over, and Dennis forces Polly to change the tire. They discover they actually did hit an animal, and Lacey thinks it's her dog, but I don't think we could be too sure. She tries to force Seth to help the animal with his biology knowledge, and he gives her his best medical opinion.
I'm pretty sure it's dead.
During this time, Dennis gets stabbed by tiny spikes that were left on the tire. Lacey convinces Seth to help this obliterated animal with the power of persuasion. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, persuasion is a gun. But when spikes suddenly protrude from the dead animal, Lacey unloads on her. She freaks out and forces the couple to drive them away from the area. They soon cross a gas station, and Dennis makes them pull in, and Lacey immediately hops out to use the restroom, but not before Dennis confiscates her drugs, so there's no extra fun in there.
Boy, this party really died.
Dennis forces Polly inside, and from here, everyone slowly realizes something is wrong. There's no employees, and something is blocking the bathroom door. Lacey finally gets the door open with the help of her door opening pills, only to discover the spike covered gas station attendant dead on the floor. Only he's not that dead. She runs to warn Dennis there's a man with spikes, but he doesn't believe her because he thinks she's just high.
Get your crackhead ass into some rehab. I ain't got time for this bullshit.
The creature appears, but Dennis notices too late and then attacks and kills Lacey. Everyone witnesses the attack and runs inside of the gas station, where they are now locked inside with a spiky, reanimated body lurking around outside. Dennis then tells the couple they can't call the cops because he's a wanted escaped convict and he's still in charge here. Polly lets him know whatever is outside is in charge here, but Dennis reminds everyone he is the guy with the gun. Dennis continues to really not understand the situation they're in. He rips out the phone line, stops the security cameras, and robs the register. Dennis then notices Lacey's body moving outside and decides to go out and check to make sure she's not still alive, while the couple takes the time to explain to us why they won't just keep him locked out. Lacey reaches for Dennis's shoe, so he believes she's alive and decides to drag her across the concrete like a bag of garbage and not, I don't know, pick her up or something. Polly doesn't want to open the door, and something is clearly wrong with Lacey. She only opens it after he threatens to shoot through the door, and the moment she does, Lacey grabs Dennis's leg, to which everyone freaks out and closes the door on her hand, causing an amputation. They notice the hand is still moving, and the biology major studies it for 5 minutes and comes to the conclusion that it is being controlled by a parasitic fungus that feeds on blood. I mean, he looks at this gross severed hand thing with the same fascination that Dr. Grant looks at dinosaurs with.
Alan, this species of Variformin's been extinct since.
The Lacey creature starts banging on the door, and Dennis still thinks there may be hope, but Seth warns him she's only after that precious, precious blood. They spend some time hiding in the back room and trying to break the back door open while Dennis reminisces about his lost love, all while this creature is slamming itself against the front glass. As soon as they get the back door open, they notice the banging has stopped, and the monster is now on the roof. Thinking it's because they opened the door, they quickly close it, but then they realize the sheriff is actually in the front of the store, but she doesn't want to hear their stories about spike monsters and dead bodies. She only wants to take Dennis back to prison. No, you won't. The sheriff gets ripped in half. We then get some cool body horror shots of the Lacey monster and the sheriff monster merging together. The characters then argue a little bit and discuss how they can possibly get out of here, and Seth explains more about the fungus, but it seems like everyone already pretty much got the gist.
Oh shit, Seth! We know it attacks you and you die!
Dennis then gets the brilliant idea to set the surrounding forest on fire to attract authorities, and Polly is on board. Seth, who besides being a fucking fungus nerd has not been hopeful all night, opposes the plan, thinking they're going to blow the entire gas station up. He comes up with a better idea to try to get the cops' radio that's right outside the door and call for help. Also, if being an escaped convict, carjacking people, or hitting women didn't already make you hate Dennis, he's also one of those guys that hides that they're infected. They manage to hook on to the police radio, but the monster appears and breaks it, And in the process, Polly amputates its arm and it gets loose into the store. Apparently, 2 adults and a bat aren't enough to destroy this little severed arm, and Polly and Seth are getting bested until Dennis calls them over into the freezer he's been hiding in this whole time. Now trapped in the freezer, Dennis finally breaks the news that he's infected because he no longer has control over his arm anymore. And in what I would like to call an ode to the Evil Dead series, they make the decision to amputate the arm to stop the infection from spreading. Only they have no chainsaw, so they cut through his arm with a box cutter and then break the bone off with cinder blocks. After the amputation, Dennis cracks open a beer and they plan on how to escape. Seth wants to test a theory that the creature can only sense heat. So they come up with a plan to cover him with ice long enough to lower his body temperature and have Dennis and Polly distract the creature with fireworks as he attempts to get to the cop car to radio for help. They get the plan moving and everything seems to be working. The creature is distracted by the fireworks and Seth gets to the car. But it seems everyone has forgotten how cars work. You need keys to power it on. Duh. The monster is done with the fireworks at this point, and Seth's body temperature is beginning to go back up, attracting the monster back to the car. Dennis, in an attempt to create another distraction, runs out and throws another firework, and the creature immediately goes after him, getting inside of the gas station in the process. Dennis and Polly then hide in the freezer, and the gas station ignites in flames from the fireworks. Seth runs back in with the cop's shotgun to save them, and in his battle realizes fire can kill this fungus. Dennis then volunteers himself to stay behind while they run away from the gas station, and then his final act of redemption, he shoots a gas canister and blows up the entire store. This movie was great, and I'm really happy to see that it has a cult following and even a 74% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie is fast-paced, gory, and keeps you engaged. It has a grittiness that only 2000s horror has. The creature design and execution are really cool, even though most of the attack scenes are done with really fast and choppy cutscenes. The practical effects are still so much fun. The scenes of the hands moving around are the most memorable parts of the movie. The atmosphere is tense, the gore is fun, the characters aren't really likable, but I don't think they're supposed to be. Overall, I give it a 5 out of 5.
If you know any better gas station or convenience store based horror movies, drop them in the comments. I spent days researching this trope and watching these movies, and I felt these were the best that the trope had to offer. If you think I rated some of these too high or too low, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video if you had fun and subscribe to my channel.